What if I told you that the absolute oldest rule in the gym is, well, completely wrong? You know the one I'm talking about. If you lift heavy, you'll lose your speed. And if you run long distances, you can just say goodbye to your muscle mass. For decades, athletes have basically been forced to choose a lane. You're either this massive powerhouse who gasses out in 60 seconds, or you're an endless endurance machine with absolutely no explosive power. But what if you never actually had to choose between being strong and being fast?
Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to completely dismantle that old gym adage. We're decoding the ultimate scientific workaround for athletes, the MEHC method. We're going to dive deep into how elite sports science has finally cracked the code, showing us the exact structure needed to combine maximum strength with explosive power. This is all about creating what we call the ultimate hybrid athlete. So if you want to build raw, heavy power without sacrificing a single drop of speed, you are definitely in the right place. Here is our quick roadmap for today. We'll start with number 1, the interference effect myth. Then 2, enter hybrid training. 3, the MEHC method explained. 4, structuring strength and power. 5, the karate case study. And finally, 6, building your hybrid routine.
All right, let's jump right into section 1, the interference effect myth, and why we are so terrified of mixing training styles.
We have all heard this phrase echoed in weight rooms, martial arts dojos, and track fields literally all over the world. If you lift weights, you'll run slower. If you do cardio, you'll burn your muscle mass. It's exactly why bodybuilders refuse to even look at a treadmill, and marathon runners avoid the squat rack like the plague. And you know the crazy thing is, there actually is a tiny grain of truth to this, but only if you don't know how to program your training. This biological fear that athletes have is rooted in a very real physiological phenomenon that sports scientists call the interference effect.
To understand this, think of your body as a booming, growing city. Inside the city, you have two main cellular architects calling the shots. First, you've got a protein pathway called mTOR. Think of him as your skyscraper builder. When you lift heavy weights, mTOR wants to construct these massive, robust, incredibly strong buildings. That's your muscle mass. Then you have an enzyme called AMPK. He's your highway builder. When you run or do intense cardio, AMPK wants to pave long, super efficient roads so energy can travel for miles. That's your endurance. Now, if you just train randomly, doing heavy squats followed immediately by a 5-mile run, these two architects basically get into a fistfight. AMPK tells the skyscraper builders to stop working because the city needs all its resources for the highways. The result? Your strength gains just grind to a complete halt. But thankfully, science has finally found a way to make these two architects work seamlessly together.
Which brings us to section 2. Enter hybrid training, the real paradigm shift.
This right here is the shift that is completely taking over elite athletics. In the scientific literature, they call it concurrent training, but the fitness world has fully embraced it as hybrid training. Basically, it's the strategic combination of strength and endurance within a single, cohesive program, all designed to maximize performance in both arenas. It's about taking ultimate control of those cellular architects we just talked about. It's about timing, it's about volume, and knowing exactly when to tell the body to build the skyscraper and when to pave the road, so they never ever get in each other's way.
And this isn't just some fringe internet theory anymore. It is the definitive future of fitness. If you look at the American College of Sports Medicine's 2026 trends, we see strength training, functional training, and HIIT all dominating the very top ranks. Modern athletes are blending these disciplines. And the data now clearly shows that intelligently combining these modalities 2 to 3 times a week yields comparable gains in max strength, muscle growth, and VO2 max as if you were entirely specialized in just one thing. Let me say that again. You absolutely do not have to choose anymore.
So how do elite athletes actually structure their training to become incredibly powerful? Let's move to section 3, the MEHC method explained and how we create explosive power.
For the modern athlete, the answer is the MEHC method. MEHC stands for the Método de Entrenamiento Híbrido Complejo, or simply the complex hybrid training method. Researchers describe it as a continuum physicum. Imagine this continuous, unbroken flow of physical adaptation. The core philosophy here is that maximum strength is your absolute foundation. You literally have to build that max raw strength first. Then, using this highly specific structure, you transfer that raw strength directly into usable, explosive athletic power and optimize your rate of force development. That's just a fancy way of saying how fast your muscles can reach their absolute peak strength. Because remember, it's not just about how much weight you can lift, it's about how lightning fast you can apply that force.
Okay, so how is this actually programmed? Like, what does the structure actually look like? Let's look at the exact 4-week microcycle of the MEHC method, because this is where the magic happens. In weeks 1 and 2, the athlete is strictly in the max strength phase. They are lifting incredibly heavy loads. We're talking between 85 to 100% of their 1-rep max. They are building a massive raw engine. Then, week 3 is the shock phase. The athlete retests their max based on their new strength levels, and the volume is pumped up to push the body's adaptation right to its absolute limit. Finally, week 4 is the crucial step, the power conversion phase. The weight on the bar drops dramatically, down to just 30 to 50% of their max, but the intent completely shifts. The goal isn't just to lift the weight, it's to move that lighter weight at absolute maximum velocity. You are basically rewiring your central nervous system to fire instantly. This is exactly how raw, grinding strength becomes devastating, explosive power.
Now, how does a specific day look within this continuum? That brings us to Section 4, structuring strength and power and structuring your week.
Let's look at a daily split using this protocol. You'll notice a really strict division of labor, and this is designed to manage our cellular architects and, crucially, our central nervous system. The morning sessions are dedicated entirely to max strength and power. Think super heavy squats hitting up to 100% of the rep max, heavy bench presses, explosive Olympic cleans. These really tax the nervous system. Then, after hours of recovery, resting, and eating, the afternoon sessions shift focus completely. It's all about plyometrics, technical skill, multi-directional jumps, simulated combat drills. By separating the massive neurological load of heavy lifting in the morning from the highly technical, bouncy demands of the sport in the afternoon, the athlete completely avoids the interference effect. The body gets a clear signal for strength early on and a totally distinct signal for speed later.
To prove this isn't just a bunch of theory, let's jump into Section 5, the karate case study. MEHC in elite sports.
Researchers took this exact MEHC protocol and applied it to a 26-year-old elite combat athlete on the Mexican national karate team. He was preparing for the highly competitive 2023 Pan American Games. Now, in a high-stakes sport like karate, the margins are razor-thin, right? If you're incredibly strong but slow, you're going to get knocked out before you can even throw a punch. If you're lightning fast but weak, your strikes just don't score or do any real damage. He needed massive power without losing even a fraction of a second of speed. So he was the perfect empirical test subject to really push this method to its limits.
The researchers didn't just guess how much weight he should lift or rely on how he felt that day. They used an app called Metric VBT to measure the exact velocity of his execution during max squats and max bench presses. This is called velocity-based training, and it ensures that during that crucial week 4 power conversion phase, the bar is actually moving fast enough to trigger the specific physiological adaptation for speed. If the bar moves too slow, you are just building grinding strength all over again. By tracking the exact meters per second, his training became literal precision engineering for the human body.
After putting him through those intense, heavy lifting phases, the researchers had to test if that raw, heavy strength was actually converting into practical, usable speed. So they tested his explosive muscle power using the rapid squat jump. They meticulously measured how fast he could launch a weighted bar straight up into the air. This is the moment of truth where we see if the continuum actually works.
Well, after just one 4-week microcycle, the data was simply astounding. Keep in mind this is an already elite athlete, so his gain should technically be plateauing. Yet his absolute max squat strength increased by an incredible 12.5%. His bench press max went up by 4.4%. But here is the holy grail. While getting significantly stronger, his explosive speed in the bench throw actually increased by 2.5%, and his squat jump velocity shot up as well. Normally, as you pack on that much raw strength, you slow down. Not here. He didn't just get stronger, he got faster simultaneously. The interference myth? Totally busted.
So, what does this all mean for you? Let's wrap things up with Section 6, building your hybrid routine, with 4 rules for success.
You absolutely don't have to be a Pan American karate champion to leverage this science. Derived directly from the research, here are the 4 golden rules to build your own interference-free hybrid week. Rule number 1, lift heavy. You need to hit above 80% of your 1-rep max 2 to 3 times a week to build that raw engine. Rule number 2, add lower impact cardiovascular work like cycling or rowing, but keep it strictly to 30 or 40-minute sessions. This builds your aerobic base without triggering massive AMPK interference. Rule number 3, incorporate plyometric jump training. You must remind your central nervous system how to move fast to convert that strength into explosive power. And finally, rule number 4, prioritize your recovery.
You are asking your body to build massive skyscrapers and endless highways at the exact same time. You have to give it the vast amounts of fuel, hydration, and sleep it requires to actually do both.
Which leaves us with one final, very important question. Now that you know the science, and you've seen the empirical data behind the MEHC method, are you going to keep choosing between being strong and having endurance? Or will you ditch those outdated gym myths, embrace the science of the continuum, and become an ultimate hybrid athlete today? The blueprint is right in your hands. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.